Okay, everybody, good evening. It is April 4th, and I'm just going over the agenda. One thing I didn't put here on the agenda is this coming Friday. Friday is a holiday. So Friday, it's Good Friday or Passover, but it is we follow the Boston Public School schedule, so Friday, no class. All right, so no class, no assignments will be posted. Everybody enjoy a little break. So yes, no class this coming Friday. And then there'll be another longer break later in the month, but next week, we'll be back on schedule. So we're going to start this evening with an anonymous peer review. I've taken several writing samples and deliberately not put official marks on them, but because I wanted to use them for class discussion, to do some live editing together to help each other. Then I'll go over attaching files under deadline, which was a very tricky task on the syllabus. And a lot of our graduates have spoken about that, about the importance of learning different systems, and meeting those deadlines when you get to college. Then I will introduce a lot of vocabulary. I already posted some of it in the WhatsApp group. It's pretty vocabulary intensive for this new story that we're going to be reading, titled Anna in Somalia. So plenty of new words. So I don't expect you to learn all the words tonight, but as you go to sleep, maybe 2 or 3 of the words will be floating around in your dream somewhere. And when you wake up, you can study more words. Then we will take a break. 2 of the main characters in the story are historical figures, which I introduced in my morning class on Tuesday. And we'll go over them one more time. And then we'll do a quick scene analysis from the story to wrap up class and pick it up tomorrow morning and finish out the week. That is it. Any questions? I believe
No questions.
No questions. Fantastic. Did we just lose? Okay. All right. So moving right along. All right. Let's see. Yes. So Friday's a holiday. Here we go. So if you see your writing, don't announce yourself and say this was me. So keep it anonymous. Do we have a volunteer reader for this anonymous peer review? Anybody?
Yes, I can.
Go for it, Chen.
After reading the syllabus, I was shocked. I felt overwhelmed about the calendar, assignments, and grades. When I watched the Annie Sanchez interview, I thought I can do the same. Some kind of motivated and emotive video that encourages me to keep it up. At the same time, when I saw Mabel in class, her testimony came up handy to increase my confidence and try to do my best in this process.
All right. So let's talk for a minute. They definitely answer the question. They definitely follow assignments. What's this paragraph of generally telling us? Astrid, did you want to? Yeah, what are we learning from this paragraph? Chen, after reading this, what have you taken away from this, what the author said?
Okay, first point, and the person noticed that the calendar assignment and the grading system is rigorous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the timeline
yeah.
and the attendance and also the grading system. And the second one, and the person was inspired um, by the interview because that the former student can keep the balance between the work and study
Mm.
that inspires us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, so based on what Chen says, it's pretty clear. I think it was pretty clear. Chen, do you see any parts of this paragraph that get maybe a little unclear or confusing?
Let me see.
And everybody, Astrid, Bibiana, anywhere in this paragraph a little bit unclear? Oh, Bibiana, let me know if you're working right now. You just write in the chat. So, oh, I think you did just write in the chat. Oh, Bibiana says everything crystal clear.
The second sentence we should add a es at the video that word.
Let's take a look at that. When I watched the Annie Sanchez's interview, I thought I can do the same. Where do you want to add the ES?
The second sentence, some kind of
Oh, okay.
motive.
This is actually what I was. This is the third sentence. This is where it gets actually. There's some confusion. Does anybody see where it's a little bit shaky right here? Some kind of motivated and emotive video that encourages me to keep it up. What does that mean? I think we intuitively know what she means, but if we just read the sentence, it's a little confusing. So right here, some kind of motivated. What's she talking about? Well, oh wait, Chen, you had a suggestion?
Uh, the videos. I think it's videos. Some videos.
Okay, so plural videos.
Yeah.
All right. Now this is where I'm so glad you said that, because Chen, you were not present during the live interview with Mabel, and some students were, some students weren't. But you saw the recording because I used it in a class on this past Monday. It's really unclear what she's talking about. Is she talking about the recordings of both the interviews of former students or just one? Or is she talking about something entirely different? That's why I actually picked this one out, because it's almost flawless. This paragraph is almost, nothing wrong with it at all, but she kind of loses clarity right here. So some kind of motivated and emotive videos. Okay, so we're losing subject verb agreement. So some kind of motivated. What does that mean? Who's motivated? Is she motivated? Or is she talking about the recordings of student interviews are motivating her? I think she is, but that's the problem. Does everybody see what's going on here in that sentence?
Yeah, I agree with Baby Anna.
Well, Viviana said that, oh, you're right. Viviana just added something in the chat. Viviana is working at this very moment. So Viviana, you're getting a lot of practice working and studying. You're at work and you're taking part in this class. Good work. Okay, so Viviana made a suggestion in the chat. Here it goes. No, oh, your microphone's busted. Oh, so you're not working. Okay, no problem. All right. But no, thanks for joining us anyway. Oh, you are working. That's what I thought. Okay. So I hope the customers find this class absolutely fascinating. There you are. Hi, Bibiana. Yep, she's at work right now. How's it going? So I hope everybody try to be entertaining for everyone at the bar to keep them. Okay, everybody, a full bar. Nice. Okay, this is Bibiana's teacher speaking. When she pours you a drink, you leave a tip or we will find you. Understand? I'm talking to all of you at the bar right now. Okay, people are here getting an education. Don't be stingy. Okay, that means Chen. That means you know what stingy means?
Sorry, I don't know.
It means 小气，你不要小气。
Oh,
So
yeah,
so
got it.
yep. So that's American English. Don't be stingy. Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
All right. So, but let's look at what Bibiana suggested for this sentence. So she said, okay. And that video is one kind of video that motivates you. Okay, so maybe putting it in second person motivates you. But let's try this. So Bibiana's suggestion here with the sentence, that video specific, because if she's just talking about one, she mentioned Sanchez. So at the beginning of the paragraph, she mentioned the Sanchez interview motivated her. Got it. Okay. That video encourages me, or she could put it as encouraged in past tense. This is a little confusing, emotive. I think that we don't really need that there. Does anybody else want to make a suggestion here to clear up the confusion? I'll read this change right here. That video encouraged me to keep it up. Does anybody see any problem with this change?
It's clear now.
It is clear. It is absolutely clear. So I think, yeah. And you know what? It's so clear when I delayed grading the students' writing because I wanted to work it out together. I didn't even know what suggestion I wanted to give the student, but now I know exactly what I want to tell the student. So it was just that sentence was kind of, it was fuzzy. It was a little confusing. Otherwise, the rest of it is crystal clear. So yeah, there we go. Let's move on to the next one. I think I'm going to save. Let's read this one together and then we'll move on to the next part. So do we have Astrid, would you like to read this one?
Okay. My biggest challenge to take classes at universities in America, not to mention the language issue, is transportation financial conditions. Because I'm an adaptation phase,
Yeah.
I still need to learn to walk along in this country and manage to overcome this difficulty. Even with that, I have a desire to one day be able to improve my English and be able to be an interpreter working in schools, hospitals, etc.
All right. So we're in luck. The computer gave us already a few little points at where there were a few tiny mistakes. You see the blue, that's when there's a grammatical mistake. Who could figure out what's wrong? The computer, that's when it's like cheating. The computer's telling you there's something wrong. What's wrong with because and even?
Comma. No.
Let's take a look. Condition. You could. That's possible. That's possible here. But the reason it's actually doing that is because she put a period here and then she started a new sentence with what? It should look like that.
Capital.
Right. And she did it, and the student did it again right here. Started a sentence with a lowercase.
It's the same.
Right. So that's when the computer is helping you. So whenever the computer is helping you, don't ignore the help. Let the computer give you those little reminders of those annoying grammar rules. So yes. Okay, so now we are starting our sentences with capital letters. That's a good start. Astrid, if I were to ask you the same question as we did with the last paragraph, could you tell me what this paragraph is about?
Hmm.
And maybe that question can go for everybody. Faride, welcome.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. Welcome,
Thank
welcome,
you,
welcome.
teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
We are.
we are.
Oh, I hear hear the echo of myself on your microphone. So we are we're doing a peer review, looking at a sample of a student's writing and making some corrections together. All right. So this one I think is a little bit harder to decipher the topic. What exactly is the information that we're being given here? And I love Astrid's deep breath. When I said, Astrid, what is this about? And Astrid said, it's a little, it takes everybody a minute. What exactly are we reading here? So let's try to figure it out and give the writer some clarity. What's the writer trying to say here? Oh, okay, and Bibiana's giving us. Okay, so Bibiana says she means that she needs to fix some other aspects of her life, get her affairs in order, so to speak. And I think that's a pretty fair assessment, because right here, she says, apart taking college classes in America, my biggest challenge to take classes at universities in America is not just the language, but also transportation, financial conditions. And it's awkward, the period is here. I'm not sure what that means. Transportation, okay, that's one specific issue. Financial conditions, that could also be another issue, affording college. But then the period kind of cuts it off. So we don't know exactly what the student is trying to describe. Is the student talking about commuting to the class? If he or she is taking in-person classes or affording the classes, we don't really know. It's more like a list or an unfinished list. So we don't really have a clear topic here. Yeah, Astrid, what do you think?
Transportation, probably the person doesn't have car. And the person talking about the distance for the college, I don't know. I think
Exactly. That's the information that's not given. It's like we're looking at a bunch of indicators and we're made to guess. So as readers, we're really guessing. We're like, is your challenge transportation? Or is your challenge money or a combination of both? We're not getting that information. And then, as Bibiana pointed out in her comment, she said, this is a little convoluted in an adaptation phase. We get it. I think this person means I'm still adapting to American society in a phase of adaptation. But it's still unclear. Adaptation, adapting to what exactly? We're assuming it's just getting to adjust to life in America, but we still don't know. I need to learn to walk alone in this country. Okay, so maybe, does this mean safety issues? I don't know. And manage to overcome these difficulties. So I think what you were saying right there, maybe put a comma here and keep that because lowercase was probably a good idea, Astrid, because it looks like it's a long list of issues. Basically, apart from learning English, I've got this problem, this problem, this problem, and this problem, but the reader's still guessing. We're not quite sure what the writer is, the story the writer's trying to say. And to be fair, they do say more in the rest of the paper, but this particular paragraph was just a little bit shaky. Chen, do you have any suggestions here to maybe bring some clarity to this paragraph?
I'm still thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, this last one, what does everybody think about this last one? I have a desire to one day improve my English and then be an interpreter in schools and hospitals. And I'm paraphrasing, not exactly. What does everybody think about this?
I think even with that, it's not clear. With what, we don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think if we make it shorter, like say, my dream is to be an interpreter in schools and hospitals. That's clear. I understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
But what's the problem? But it's a little awkward to put it in this paragraph. It should be in a totally separate paragraph. Because the student begins saying, my challenge is going to college are, and then it's scattered and confusing. And then says in the next line, my dream is to be an interpreter. Okay, where'd that come from? We need some kind of a build-up, some type of what's called a transition. I believe Ashley has worked with everybody about connecting one paragraph to the next. Oh, and I see Bibiana's got another comment. Right, Bibiana, great comment right there. So it's not coherent. So it's like a lot of really good ideas for a paper, but they're just kind of mashed all together. I'll give everybody an image. Think about your closet when you get dressed. Imagine you have your shirts, your socks, your underwear, your clothes to go to the gym, and your clothes to and your really nice clothes, and you just stuff them all together in one shelf and then close the shelf. That's kind of like what this paragraph is. Everything is out of order. It's a bunch of good ideas, but they're all jumbled together. So yes, we need to take time, don't rush. The ideas are there, but they just need to be organized logically to tell the story. And let's see what time it is. Yep, 9:01. We are exactly on time. So that was the peer review. I have graded a few of these assignments. The others I'm still grading. And this not only helps you go over the writing and editing process, it actually helps me give more insightful comments. to students, because sometimes when I see an issue, I'll write, it doesn't make sense, or it's a little confusing in paragraph 2, and I don't know what exactly to say. But when I go through this process with all of you, then I have better advice to give to students in Google Classroom. So thank you all. Okay. All right, so even though hey, Gracie's coming in. Welcome, welcome, Gracie. Actually, you know what, since Gracie's arriving and Faride just arrived, I'm going to go over once again the agenda just to let them know what we did. There's Gracie. So Faride, Gracie, I went over the agenda just after.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. So this was the plan today. And we're at this first phase. We're just finishing the peer review. And then I'm going to go do a little quick review with attaching files on time. So we went over this in the last 2 classes. I haven't posted the recording of Monday's class. No, I have with Monday. I'll double check actually. Monday evening, yes. Monday morning, no. I'm going to do that so everybody can watch that. But in the last 2 classes, I've gone over the importance of attaching files on time. So going back, I'm jumping multiple slides. Okay, so Gracie, you were in class yesterday morning. You remember the answer to this question. How often will you do this in college? What you see in this picture? Bibiana, I know you remember. Exactly, perfect. Did everybody hear Gracie's answer?
You said never?
You said never. And I can hear some surprise in Astrid's voice, which is why I'm going over it again. Never. And who could tell this physical interaction? I'm going to say it physically, the physical interaction. This will not happen in college. It may happen if you are taking a paper test, not anything that is composed. Gracie or Bibiana, or actually, yes, Astrid and Shen and Faride, you were not there yesterday morning, so this might be totally new. Let's give them a minute. Why would this not happen? Handing of a physical paper to your professor. Why would that vintage interaction not be going on in college or in high school for that matter? Oh, Bibiana is giving us the answer in the chat. Oh, Faride. Oh, thank you, Farida. I will fix that. Thank you very much for letting me know. Wait to give us, don't shout out the answer, Gracie.
I can answer.
No, don't wait for the answer. Chen, why would this not happen? The handing, and I'm being specific, physically handing. Here's the old-fashioned transaction. Professor assigns a paper to write. Student writes the paper, prints it out, maybe at the school library or at home or wherever, takes a pile of paper in their hand like this and presents it, saying to the professor with their eyes, my heart and soul was put into this paper. Please be kind. This doesn't happen. Why not?
It could be many reasons. And the first one, when delivering their paper, students may copy others, maybe just through the delivery. And the second one, I think we don't know when the student delivers their paper, the paper.
Chen pretty much explained it. Chen said, well, wait a minute, how do we know? How is the professor supposed to trust that the student actually wrote it? The old-fashioned way is a good professor will scratch their head and say, this doesn't look like any writing I've seen from this student before. Maybe they had some money and paid somebody to write this. Or wait a minute, this looks familiar. And they go on the internet and says, oh, this is a cut and paste a bunch of nonsense from Wikipedia. Or they might say, wait a minute, this looks good, a little too good, but it doesn't make any sense. And they start putting stuff into Siri and Chat GPT and said, oh, that's the same thing. This was an automated, generated paper with Chat GPT. This wasn't written by a human. But before the professor has to even use their brain to try to decipher all that stuff, there's a few programs that professors will use. Old-fashioned ones about 30 years old is Turnitin.com, but each and every school has its own program to detect plagiarism, copied work, and none are perfect, but that is the answer to this question. This physical interaction does not happen. When you're given a paper to write at the university level, and now at the high school level, in most cases in this country, you're not printing out a piece of a paper to hand to your professor for the professor to sit and read. The professor may choose to print it out and put corrections on it themselves if that's what they choose to do, but it's going to go through a computer first. So what does that mean? If you're not handing it physically to the professor, you have to know how to do what in college?
Google Class?
Very close. Bibiana, just everybody take a look at what, Bibiana, you're on fire tonight. Everybody at the bar, please just, give her a round of applause because she's nailing all my questions, like really good. Everybody take a look in the chat. Attach files correctly, whether it's a Google Doc, a Word doc, or whatever type of document it is. And Astrid, you're basically on the same. We're using Google Classroom for this. When you get to Bunker Hill, it's Moodle. Other colleges might use an older platform like Blackboard, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You have to be familiar with the platform that the school is using. So, and that's even if you're in person. So you might be in person for that class every single day, but the professor will be required to look at the paper through the computer's platform to check for plagiarism. So why I'm stressing this again and again and again. Many of our students have a lot of problems navigating technology and learning new platforms. You might speak English very well, you might be a great writer, but if you haven't figured out how to attach that file to that assignment the day it is due, you don't want to try to figure it out if it's due in an hour. That's a lot of stress. That's a lot of drama. Gracie, can you tell everybody the I reenacted that drama yesterday morning just for fun. Can you tell everybody a little bit about it?
The drama?
You remember I was being a bit silly. I put a fictional deadline.
Yes,
of
yes, I remember.
Yeah, but tell everybody, because I actually know Bibiana was there, 30-day Chen and Astrid were not there.
The drama was that if you give us a specific time by the program, in this case was Google Classroom, to submit or send the homework or assignment, and if we don't send it before the deadline, we lost the opportunity to send the homework.
Yeah, or it's just turned in late and then you have a really embarrassing email. And then you're really, then you're negotiating. And that happens a lot. Because the professor will say, it's late, it's late. If the professor has a heart, a conscience, they'll say, okay, I see you're trying. Please don't let it happen again. If the professor is really strict, they'll say, it's late. Those are the rules, leave me alone. But things happen, you know, your internet connection could go out and the paper is due in 5 minutes. So you don't want to wait until the very last.
But, teacher,
Yeah.
but I think that could be once, but after one time and second that,
Exactly.
maybe you can have that opportunity one time, no more, I think.
Exactly. So you don't want to always, for every single assignment, wait till the last minute, because one, you're going to have to learn how to attach the file and submit it on time. So that means once you do your assignment, you don't just want to do your assignment. You want to look at the instructions and see, okay, when I do this, maybe it's 2 or 3 days from now. Oh, that's where I attach it. Okay, I see. Maybe ask your classmates, hey, is this how I attach the file? Or what if it's a huge document? Can I put it, what do I need to do with big files, small files, all these little annoying things? Figure that out early. Figure it out early so there's no stress, no drama the day the assignment is due. I've been there, yeah. Graduate school. I remember my master's thesis was a huge file, and it was taking forever. This was before we kept a lot of stuff on. It was Google Documents were as common as they are. I was trying to put a huge file with a lot of images and stuff onto the school's platform, and it would take forever, and then the internet would go out and I'd go, and it was like forget writing the thing. It seemed like it took half a day to attach the thing. You don't have to worry about that now. Things have improved a little bit, but you just want to get that stuff done early. So that's it. Any questions about being ready to attach files of assignments on time? Whoop, I see something in the chat. Frida, yes, you have a question?
No, teacher, I understand.
Okay, great. Great. Oh, there's the echo. That's why I kept muting you. All right, so we are moving right along. All right, does anybody at the bar have any questions? Okay, good. All right. So yes, we did that Monday morning. We don't have to go over this article. We don't have to go over the interview with Mabel, but here's what we're going to do right now. I asked this question at the very end of class, but I didn't give enough yesterday morning, but I didn't give enough time to really connect the dots. These are two historical figures, and they seem to have nothing in common, but they're both main characters in the story we're reading. So what I'm going to do is put you into quick breakout rooms. This is good because we have a smaller class, and I'm going to ask this question. Syed Bar and Leo Tolstoy. Who remembers who Syed Bar is? The guy on the left. I'll just give you the answer now. He is a I'm writing the words here. Who can understand what this means? Military dictator. So a dictator controls government. A military dictator is especially hard to get rid of. Why? Because they control the military. So not just an unelected official who has command of the military. So let's see, I wish Doris was here right now. She mentioned yesterday morning, Brazil's former military dictatorship. Chen, Jiang Jieshi, after the Chinese Civil War, he became a military dictator.
Yeah, Chiang Kai-shek.
Yeah, even in Guangdong, a military dictator, like in the Mingguo period, Chen Jitang.
Yeah.
Jitang, he's a lesser known figure, but he basically had command of the Air Force. So it was somebody you didn't want to make enemies with because they commanded, they could have you, they could cause a lot of damage and destruction. So,
Yes.
so that's this guy, and it's Somalia circa 1980s. Does everybody know where Somalia is?
A North Africa country.
Yeah, it's called anybody ever heard the phrase the Horn of Africa? It's nicknamed the Horn of Africa. The reason is, if anybody looks at a map, it's right across the Red Sea from, or not the Red Sea, but yeah, it's right across the Arabian Peninsula. So I'm not going to draw a map, but you can look at it on your own. It's nicknamed the Horn of Africa because it juts out just across the bottom of the Arabian Peninsula, and it looks kind of like a horn. So yes, it's in the northeast part of Africa, and it juts out along the coast. So yes, he was a military dictator controlling Somalia in the 1980s. Now, who in the world is Leo Tolstoy? Nope, I think somebody just mentioned it in the chat. A Russian writer, and with an exclamation point, one of the biggest, yes. So yes, one of the most influential Russian writers ever. I'm not going to say any more than that because it might actually give away the connection. If you look at the name of the story, you can figure it out. But what was confusing students when I asked the question at the end of class yesterday, wait a minute, these people were not even alive at the same time. Leo Tolstoy, who could tell me when he was alive? Russian writer, alive during the Romanov period. So that's, 1880s. Let's say 1850, circa 1850s. That's around, he's the prime of his life. Circa 1860s to 1880s, that period. There we go. So this picture of him as an old guy, that's probably around the end of the 19th century. All right, so these two people are in two totally different parts of the world, and they're a century apart. Let's think about that for a minute. This guy's ruling a country in Africa 40 years ago, and this guy's writing books in Russia about 140 years ago. How in the world are they related? Am I just so bored out of my mind I'm keeping you up at night just naming random historical figures just to drive you crazy? No, although it seems like it sometimes. The question I'm going to put you into the breakout rooms, how are both of these main characters in the story we are reading? So I'm going to send this question into the WhatsApp group. How are both historical figures main characters in the story we are reading? Now, that's the question for breakout rooms. But if you look at the video that I sent you earlier today, you can kind of figure it out. So I'm going to send everybody to a quick breakout room, and everybody at the bar with Bibiana can join the breakout room too. So figure out how this guy on the left and this guy on the right are somehow connected as main characters in this crazy story. So breakout rooms right now. Here we go. 2 breakout rooms. Everybody understands the question. I just put it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, I'll take your silence as a yes. Join your breakout rooms now.
By the books. The younger one reading the book of the Leo Tolstoy.
Perhaps this one read a book written by this one.
Mhm.
Okay, sure, that's a good guess. Anybody else?
I agree with Gracie. I think that probably the military, he read something about Tolstoy.
Okay, so sometime in the military, he read some Tolstoy. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, here's the answer. Now pay close attention. All right, this is the video I sent to everybody today. It's a little summary of the entire story we're reading.
The video is mute.
Say it again.
It's mute. The video is
Oh
no
my
sound.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Let me, I thought the audio was shared. Okay, hang on. Oh my goodness. Thank you for saying something, Gracie. Okay, at least it's a minute 30 went by. It wasn't too long. Okay. One more time. Here it is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gracie. Okay, one more time. Here we go. Okay, here we go.
Before Mohammed Baroud went to prison were the best 6 months of his life. He'd found true love. 6 months before Mohammed Baroud went to prison were the best 6 months of his life. He'd found true love.
We went to a small restaurant near where we lived,
She lived in his hometown in Somalia. Her name was Ismahan.
and we realized that we wanted to get married.
That's it. Love at first sight, sort of.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Mohammed was in that phase of new love where you can do risky things.
I suppose maybe I wanted to share my happiness.
He writes a letter exposing conditions in a local hospital, which angers the dictator, and Mohammed is sentenced to life in solitary confinement. And in his cell, his thoughts about Ismahan start to turn. They darken.
I could not imagine how she is, because there are no news from the world, from the outside world. It's really difficult to imagine where she is, even whether she is alive.
He's in the silence with the cockroaches and the rats.
She's probably enjoying herself. She's living her life, and I am in this place.
He thinks
You think everybody has forgotten about me?
maybe she's left him.
You probably hate her at that particular time.
Mohammed had entered a dark and angry place of the mind from which he saw no way out. Until one day, he hears a tap and a whispered voice.
A, B, C, D, E,
It's a code,
F.
and letters turn to words, words to conversations. The inmate on the other side of the wall is a doctor who starts diagnosing Mohammed.
Acute anxiety here. He was telling me these symptoms through the wall. I was frightened of going to a certain area in my mind when I would commit suicide without knowing, without wanting to.
The doctor manages to get hold of a book, the fattest he could find. He thinks maybe this'll help.
So then I started knocking, and he started listening.
All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Everything was in
Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy is 800 pages. That's 2 million letters, each letter a set of taps. Anna is a Russian noblewoman who's cut off from society because she has an affair. She spends a lot of time alone, obsessed with what her lover is doing when he's not with her. She's jealous, and her jealousy drives her to an impulsive act.
She knew what she had to do. With a rapid, light step, she went down the steps that led from the tank to the rails and stopped, quite near the approaching train. She looked at the lower part of the track.
I really cried. I felt for her.
But then he realizes his tears are not just for Anna.
That's when I remember my wife,
Ismahan.
how much she's suffering. And yes, the book is the one that brought me back to think about her a lot.
What happened? At first he saw himself as Anna, a mirror of his pain. But Tolstoy's novel tells stories from many perspectives. And that takes Mohammed out of his head, out of the prison. He goes from self-pity to pity for his wife.
Did I do well in those few months we were together?
He could think a thought like,
She suffered worse than me, because I was only in prison, but she was in the outside world.
8 years later, when the dictator relented and Mohammed was released from prison, he found out she had suffered. She was a refugee. But she was still in love with him. And it was Tolstoy, he says, who helped him let go of hate and keep his love for her.
I should build a monument for that book.
Okay. Don't worry if you don't understand it, because we're going to take a lot of time to really break it down. But I'm going to go back to the original question. how are these two main characters in the story? What is the name of the story that we're reading?
Anna Karenina.
It's called Anna in Somalia. And Bibiana said, yes, Anna Karenina is the name of one of his famous books. And this book happens to be, anybody remember how many pages?
800.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge book. If you ever see it in the library and pick it up, it's heavier than a dictionary. But yes, it's a huge book. Now, it was not the dictator, Syed Barr, who read the book. Who actually read the book?
Leo?
No, Leo's the guy who wrote the book.
Yeah. Oh, what? Yeah.
So how their main characters in this story is this. Whoops. They're main characters in this story because, oh, I actually do need to switch.
Diana husband, he read the book.
Oh, say it again. Say it again.
Say it again. Diana husband, he read the book.
No, this guy.
No.
It's a true story. So here it is. Mohammed Barut is the main character.
He is no husband de Anna.
No.
Mm.
So here's the story. This guy, his name is Mohammed Barut, and he meets this young woman named Ismahan. They're both in their 20s, and they fall in love instantly. But right here, early in their marriage, Muhammad is sent to prison, and Ismahan doesn't know what happens to him. She has no idea. He's just taken away, locked up. Now he's locked up in this prison, and think about it, what's liable to happen to a person when they're taken away and forgotten about?
Getting crazy.
Exactly. So yes, that's what the story is really about. This man, Muhammad, he's just locked up. He's actually in solitary confinement by himself, and he's very much in danger of going completely crazy, absolutely losing his mind. But he maintains his sanity. He's out now. He's living his life today, but he attests that reading this book while in prison kept him from going completely insane. Oh, maybe on a quarantine. Not that bad. Not that bad. Not that bad. Not that bad. Did anybody read an 800-page book during quarantine?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, what did you read, Bibiana?
I was reading an anthology of some stories from Julio Cortázar, who is Argentinian writer.
Cool. Nice. So now I think, Bibiana, you're really going to love this story. I'm going to identify 1/4 of the vocabulary. So this is a long list of vocabulary I sent today to get everybody a head start. I'm just going to start with the pronunciation and the meanings of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Okay. I'll underline one, and everybody can follow me with a pronunciation. Is everybody ready?
Okay.
Yes.
Cultural Renaissance.
Culture Renaissance.
Faride, yes. Where'd everybody else go? Cultural Renaissance.
Cultural Renaissance.
Nice. Bibiana, yes. Communist rule.
Communist rules.
Very good. Mixtapes.
Mixtapes.
Mixtapes. Independence movement.
Independence movement.
Movement.
Like Faride, this is the Faride show. But I have no idea where your classmates went. I guess everyone turned their microphones off. Desperate.
Desperate.
Okay,
Desperate.
there we go. I hear Chen.
Bedding.
Banding.
Bedding.
Banding.
The last one we'll do two more. Warrant.
Warrant.
Blindfolded.
Blindfolded.
Was that a landline phone? Where is there where is there a landline phone ringing?
Bibiana.
Oh, right, Viviana. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Okay.
From the bar.
Right. Oh, good. Bars still have landline phones. Very nice. Okay, so yes, cultural renaissance. Okay, what is a cultural renaissance? So we could do one of two things. We could look up the words together, or we could sit in silence all night. Who wants to try to look up the word? What's a cultural renaissance?
It's a period of a story.
Yes, exactly. It says Somalia was going through a cultural renaissance in the 1980s. The Renaissance is usually referred to what period of time in Western Europe, or I should say Southern Western Europe? The Renaissance. What period are we talking about? Uh, 15th century, lots and lots of architecture, paintings, sculptures, essentially a lot of creativity happening at one place at one time. So lots of creative people are gathering in one place and one time. Cultural means, the customs of the people are transformed by creativity. So in Somalia in the 1980s, there's an outburst of music and dance, and it seems like a very vibrant place to be, all the while under military dictatorship. Does that make sense? Okay, we're moving. Communist rule. That's a phrase used. Fride, you could probably answer this. What is communist rule? Anybody familiar with this word?
Yes, we know it.
Well, everybody's totally silent, so that tells me everybody has no idea what I'm talking about. Explain. Go for it, Astrid.
We know the word communist, but we can explain it. I know this
Yeah,
is a
so you don't know
movement.
it. If you know it, explain it. Go for it. This is the challenge.
The founder of communism.
Movement, a party. This is a movement or party.
Yeah, there are many political parties which identify as this. Chen, you're on the right track. Say it again.
Yeah. Marx is a founder of communism.
Correct, correct. You probably had studied Marx in college, right?
Yes.
So if anybody ever wants a pretty interesting book, a good read, is called The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. Marx, Engels, Lenin, the founders of the theories of communism, but essentially the different communist governments are oftentimes very hard to identify but one uniting factor is a centralized power of government. So communist rule, it's government that relies on centralized power, centralized ownership of assets. So certain communist governments may have a variety of free market activities. For example, in China, you can start a business and create your own independent company. You can also buy a house. However, the land, even when you buy a house, will eventually go back to the government. They have a document that you signed where you're leasing the land from the government. Whereas in a lot of free market capitalist countries, when you buy something, it's yours and yours alone, and you can hand it down to the next generation. So, yes. Does that make it easier to explain? Centralized power, centralized ownership of state assets. So Chen, if you ask, Americans have no translation of a fan chuanzhen. We don't have it in this country.
Yeah.
We have the Fourth Amendment right to private property.
Yeah.
Here's something that is my generation, younger people or older people may not know what it is. Who could tell me what is a mixtape?
Compilation.
Yes, keep going, Astrid. A compilation of what?
Some music or I don't know, history.
Music. It's music. So mixtape, it is specifically referring to this technology. Does everybody see what I'm drawing?
Pencil.
Not a face.
Oh,
Okay, Gracie, you can tell me what this is, right?
oh yes. We have.
It's an audio cassette. It's an audio cassette.
Yes, radio cassettes that the version of recordings,
So,
music.
Yeah, so, exactly. So mixtapes, oftentimes you hear a song on a radio and you play it on a device that has a record button, and you could get a mixtape, a blank tape, and you hear a song on the radio, you press play and record at the same time, like this, I'm doing this with my fingers. At the same time, you press play and record and you get a mixtape of all your favorite songs. So
Fashion.
yeah, before the days of file sharing and streaming, there were mixtapes, making recordings of your favorite songs and selling them on your own or giving them to your friends, that kind of thing. This one should be self-explanatory, but I think everyone might have a hard time explaining it. Independence movement. What in the world is that?
So maybe some people, they get organized to try to fight against the dictator.
Correct. Yeah, so it's a social movement to create some transfer of power, an independence movement. Desperate. What is desperate?
Hopeless.
Nice. Yeah, that would be a synonym of desperate. Maybe hopeless might be a little bit more extreme. Bedding, bedding. Think about it. When you go to sleep tonight, what makes your bed comfortable?
The cover.
Yeah, all that stuff is considered bedding, like the pillow, the sheets, whatever you, however you decorate your mattress is bedding. This word could be an adjective or a noun. In the story, it's used as a noun. I'll put the little particle, a warrant. A warrant. What is a warrant?
It is like someone who support you or something like that. Like, let's say I'm going to buy a house, so I can have a credit warrant. Does it work?
Well, yeah, that's the adjective. That's the adjective. The adjective is this warrants buying the house. This justifies something. A noun, as it's used in this, is it could be a noun or an adjective. But in this case, as a noun, it's permission from a judge, legal permission to arrest somebody, a warrant. So a judge issues a warrant, police can detain this person. But the way Bibiana was identifying warrant as an adjective is also useful. Okay, last one, blindfolded. I think everybody gets it, but is too tired to say anything. Yes, something covering your eyes. So we're going to listen to the beginning of the story. These 8 words should show up and you'll be able to figure it out. So it's a real story, Muhammad and Ismahan. Let's begin. So going to Google Classroom. Here are the instructions. Read and listen to the story Anna in Somalia. When you're finished, please answer the question on the worksheet attached. And I'll go to the already on the transcript. So ignore the commercial and you can follow along on the screen.
The 6 months before Muhammad.
No commercial. Perfect. Okay. Okay, everybody. Here's the story.
To prison where the
everybody could hear correctly, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, great. Here we go.
The 6 months before Muhammad went to prison were the best 6 months of his life. He'd landed this great job, managing a Pepsi plant, and he'd found true love on his first date.
We went to a small restaurant near where we live.
Her name was Ismahan, 20 years old, teller at a state bank.
And we were talking, and we shyly, of course, she was very shy, and we realized that we wanted to get married.
That's it, love at first sight, sort of.
Yeah, it's, in a sense, yeah.
Muhammad said he was just so struck by how generous she was, smart, and they connected about everything from the future of their country to the music they liked. Whatever images the word Somalia
I think I've got to mute somebody real quick. Hold on. Oh, okay.
calls to mind, the Somalia where Muhammad lived was in a cultural renaissance. This was 1981. It was under communist rule. And the dictator, he was a dictator, but he was also a big fan of Somali culture and music. Music was actually a big part of how Muhammad courted Ismahan. He made her mixtapes. This was the 80s.
She was into
All right, so there we go. I'll underline those new vocabulary words. Okay. So whatever images the word Somalia, the writing is really, gives it really nice perspective. Whatever images the word Somalia calls to mind, the Somalia where Muhammad lived was in a cultural renaissance. That's a loaded statement, meaning there's a lot to unpack there. If you say the word Somalia, do we think of a place undergoing a cultural renaissance where people are falling in love and handing mixtapes to each other? And I'm looking in the chat. Bibiana's thinking, no, that doesn't sound, no, that sounds like another country we studied. So no, it's giving it a context. So that's why the next line says, this was 1981. So civil war, famine, disaster at every turn, that sort of thing. That's not happening here in the early 1980s. It's actually quite an enjoyable place to be in some regards. And this young couple meet, they fall in love, and part of their courtship is mixtapes. He made her mixtapes. It was the 1980s. Has anyone here made a mixtape for somebody else? Ever? Okay. You can you can maybe send somebody a playlist.
She was into songs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you sing or did she sing?
Oh, she's a better singer.
So a few months after Muhammad and Ismahan got married, Muhammad got a phone call from the director of the local public hospital.
Would you please help me bring some donations from the communities?
He was desperate for donations.
For medicine and for bedding, in fact.
That music-loving dictator, his name was Siad Barre, he'd cut off supplies to the hospital in retaliation for an independence movement in the region. The doctor had been calling all his friends in secret.
Yeah, we were talking all the time.
Saying, you work for Pepsi, you have connections, you know people, can we raise the money discreetly, ourselves? But Mohammed wanted to go big.
I suppose maybe I wanted to share my happiness.
Okay, so the story gets more complicated here. So there's a cultural renaissance, a lot of great music, but there seem to be some political problems. And here's the name of this dictator. What exactly is going on here? Who could explain? Muhammad and Ismahan got married and got a call from the director of a local public hospital. Will you please help me bring donations from the communities for medicine and bedding, in fact? What's going on? Okay, Bibiana's asking the right question. Here's one of the tragedies in Somalia, in fact. They actually have everything they need, but the supply is controlled by one powerful person. I'll show you. Here it is.
For medicine forbidding, in fact.
That music-loving dictator, his name was Siad Barre, he'd cut off supplies to the hospital in retaliation for an independence movement in the region.
So what does this mean? Siad Barre, that music-loving dictator, cut off supplies to the hospital in retaliation for an independence movement in the region. What does that mean? Who can explain? Public hospitals, are they funded by private companies or are they funded by governments?
Yes, governments.
Government. So he cut off supplies to a hospital for what reason? And this is the word retaliation for an independence movement. Retaliation is a reaction. So in that particular part of Somalia, there had been protests, complaints about government. Let's see what's on the chat here. Yes and no. So Bibiana, yes to the first question, no to the second question. At least not yet. So yes, it was if everybody looks in the chat, Bibiana is absolutely right. It was a punishment. Essentially, people started making noise, expressing their dissatisfaction with the government. In response, Siad Barre cut off supplies to the hospital. Okay, you don't like me? How about this? Your hospitals are going to run out of medicine and bedding real fast. So that's what happened. This hospital has no sheets for their beds, no medicine for their patients. And quietly, doctors are asking local people to donate what they can to the hospital. All right. So what's going to happen next?
And calling all his friends in secret.
Yeah, we were talking all the time.
Saying, you work for Pepsi, you have connections, you know people, can we raise the money discreetly ourselves? But Mohammed wanted to go big.
I suppose maybe I wanted to share my happiness.
What do you mean by share your happiness?
Contribute, because there were other people who were less fortunate than us.
Mohammed was in that stage of new love when you just kind of think the world is full of good feeling, and if everybody knew what was going on, they would do the right thing. And he takes this bold and pretty risky move. He writes a letter.
Some kind of newsletter.
About the hospital conditions.
Yes, and telling the conditions of the country.
Essentially implying that the dictator is not doing right by us, and we got to step up ourselves. A couple weeks later, Mohammed and Isman heard a knock on their door in the middle of the night.
National security people. They don't have no warrant or anything like that. They just said, we need to take him. And I could see her, my wife, and I remember her in her eyes.
What was in her eyes?
Love, but also terror.
Mohammed is accused of treason and sentenced to life in solitary confinement.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. And these are absolutely real people. There they are. So what's going to happen? Here's Mohammed. There he is. Why is he sent to prison? We can end class tonight with this question. What exactly happened? He's sent to prison, taken away for the rest of his life. You can write your answer in the chat if you like. Okay, here we go. Yeah. He was trying to, yeah, go for it.
But he was a dictator, the dictator that they don't usually to respect the law. When they finish, the people usually to send them to the jail because they do different things that not basically to help the country.
Well, why did Muhammad go to prison?
I don't know exactly, but I don't know exactly what he was doing.
We've got time. We'll look at it together. So, yeah, we have a little time. Try to talk to each other. Why exactly was Muhammad sent to prison?
Why?
Yeah, what's the reason he was sent to prison? The street.
It's about the letter he wrote.
There you go. There you go. So everybody's got like little pieces of information. Try to I'll do a quick 2 breakout rooms. Why was Muhammad sent to prison? Viviana said there's a letter. What letter? What's that all about? So here we go. I'm going to put everyone in a quick breakout room right now. Very fast. Okay. Why was Muhammad sent to prison?